Today we're going to continue working on the zoo. Mrs. Bricksie's already tearing apart the Mills plate here. She's changing the color of the plate so it better matches the animals in that area. Specifically, it is the farm animals right there. I'm working on the monkey enclosure. I think this has got to change altogether. Not sure how I feel about these hinge bricks. They're just a little bit hard to work with. It just moves around so much. I like the ladder concept, but the shape of it might have to change. The part usage on the bottom might have to change. Everything might have to change. So yeah, I've got to come up with something pretty cool for the monkeys. Now this creek, it does flow from the mountain through the aviary and through the zoo. And I actually might be changing up the creek as well so that the monkey enclosure is sort of like a big body of water. And then the enclosure for it, like the actual fencing and everything, goes around that body of water, and then we build something in the center. So it's almost like there's water around the perimeter of the monkeys. I think that would be pretty cool. And I've seen something similar to that in the animal kingdom. That's Disney World's animal kingdom. So yeah, that might be a pretty cool idea. That's looking good, Jose. Nice. Just a bit of color swap in there. I like that. It's crazy how far that goes. Like just a little bit of color swap, like from the DBG to the tan and nougat and radish brown. Add some texturing and stuff after. It's gonna be pretty cool. And I'm thinking that because these hinges are so like loose and they like to move around so much and it doesn't really look the best, maybe I can build the bottom like circular part, which is going to be constructed from like concrete or stone, using these 1x2 rounded plates. I've got that many in LBG and DBG, and I'm thinking that might look pretty cool. And we can still get that circular shape. That's going to be a little bit easier to keep in a fixed position, and at the same time it's still able to manipulate it. This ordinary battle droid and I are very excited to introduce today's sponsor, Bamboo Lab. This battle droid is even more excited about today's sponsor. Look at that battle droid. It is absolutely massive when you compare it to the original. I was able to 3D print this with my A1 printer or A1 Mini. Either printer can do it. Also comes with the blaster and the battle droid. All right, here we go. Check out this battle droid. That is a 1/10 scale battle droid. Look at that. It is super sized. Mega. Look at that blaster. How exciting is that, everybody? Oh my gosh. I was able to very easily 3D print this, and I'm going to show you how I did it later on in this video. You know what's devastating though? We haven't even had our morning coffee yet. Like, we haven't even brewed one yet. What's going on there? But yeah, I think these plates are going to be better than the hinges. They're going to look better because there's a bigger variety of color. And they're plates, which are rounded, which I think is a cool concept. And they're not as like floppy. It's going to give it a little bit more rigidity, which I think will look a lot better and just work out for the better as well. All around better. There we go. So here's the monkey enclosure. You can see the 1x2 plates, and then I added the connectors, which are the 1x2 modified connectors, and that allowed me to attach the ladder elements. And all of them go up, and they're connected to droid arms to this center piece there. And what I did is I put a bar through it, so this can actually move, but the bar is holding it in place because there's axle holes, or a spot where you can run an axle through the center, but because it wasn't lined up, because I wanted it to make sure that the ladder's actually connected at the right angle, I put a bar through there. And then to reinforce it on this side here, you can see I put these like modified pieces with the bar and then droid arms. So now we know all of the first ladders are at the same pitch, at the same angle. And it's actually relatively strong. Like I can pick it up like so, and it's pretty strong. I think the hinges weren't as rigid, like I was saying, and I could even wear it as a hat, you know, so that's cool. So it's a new fashion style. I could even use it as like a sieve or a cauldron. So yeah, it's pretty versatile. I really wanted to make it round, and I think I was able to achieve that, which is cool. I know it's going to look sort of reddish brown and sort of stand out in the zoo, but I think that's neat. One thing I do need to do though is actually put a large dish element on the top here. I think if I put a big, preferably a reddish brown dish on there, just to cover up all this droid arms and all of these pieces that are sort of holding it all together, I think that would look pretty cool. It's a pretty technical build. I like it. You know, just built it sort of off the top of my head and with trial and error. So yeah, not bad. Back to today's sponsor, Bambu Lab. They have some incredible 3D printing machines. Look what I was able to print, a 1/10 scale battle droid, and it was so easy. I just got into 3D printing and I was able to print this like right when I got the printer. I was able to print it on this machine right here. It's known as the A1. The software is so easy to navigate. It is so easy to print. I'm going to show you how I did it right now.
The first thing we want to do is go to a website called makerworld.com. Once we're on makerworld.com, all you have to do is search Battle Droid. Battle droids are going to pop up. There's all sorts of battle droids, but this is the one I'm looking for. Lego Battle Droid, 1/10 scale. And all you have to do is click on the A1 here and hit download 3MF file. Now this one here doesn't have the rotated arm for holding the blaster, but if you click right here, click to see more, look at that, rotated arm for blaster. So click on that and download that file as well. The next step is to open up the Bambu Studio app. Very easy to download that app. We're going to click prepare in the top left there, hit this little box, and we're going to import our downloaded file. Boom, there we go. We've got our 1/10 scale battle droid ready to go. It doesn't have the rotated arm. Uh-oh. Click on that, hit delete, import another file, which is the rotated arm, and then drag it over to this one. Whoops, that's the wrong thing. We're going to drag that back over there. That's the body. And there you go. So this is the body right here. These dowels attach the body together, no glue required. This is the head, this is the legs, then we have the two arms. The next thing we do is we click preview on the top there. This is going to generate the actual plates. And then on the top right, we hit print plate. That's going to connect to the printer and you hit send. Boom, it's that easy. If you search that website, you'll also find the 1/10 scale blaster, which is going to match up with this droid. It is the exact same process. The printer automatically knows which color you want to print it in, which of course is black. There is a few pieces to this one here, so you do have to do some gluing, but it's very simple to put together. And then boom, just like that, you've got a 1/10 scale blaster, which is going to match up perfectly with your droid.
And then after hitting print, the A1 goes to work and prints a 1/10 scale battle droid. How cool is that? He's huge. I also printed this really cool pencil pot for my desk upstairs. You might recognize that character. How cool is that? Everything's so easy to grab out of there. To give you a reference, I bought 1 spool of the tan filament, and that was 1 kilogram. I was able to print this 1/10 scale battle droid and also 2 of these. I gave one away as a gift, and I've got one more here. And look, there's still some left on the spool. And this, when bought in bulk, is $13.99 US. For $13.99 US, I was able to get 2 battle droids that size and 1 1/10 scale battle droid. I think that's so cool. And the unique thing about 3D printing is you can print anything. It is the ultimate gift solution. There you go. You can print gifts for the whole family. Unique gifts that nobody else would have. If you're interested in checking out the 3D printers, make sure you use my affiliate link, which is in the pinned comment and description below. Thank you so much, Bambu Lab, for sponsoring this video. Once again, I am blown away by the 3D printing world. Like, wow, this is so cool. You should see the things at the Brick Building Biker. That's my buddy. What he has printed is incredible. He's got like every color filament. He's printed the Flash, the Joker, 3D clocks, 3D artwork, all sorts of stuff. He's going crazy. He's got so much cool stuff. It's so wild. I've mainly been focusing on part storage and organization. I've been printing a lot of custom bins, and I'm working on a behind the scenes project where I'm actually going to be like reinventing all of my sorted Lego pieces using the 3D printed bins. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Thank you once again, Bambu Lab. Let's get back to some other Lego related items that aren't 1/10 scale battle droids that look so cool. I decided to put an 8x8 dish on the top. All I had was light gray. I wish I had reddish brown, but I don't. The only reddish brown ones I have are like 4x4, and it just doesn't do a great job of covering it up. But as we build this zoo, we're gonna make a parts list, and we're gonna go through and order all the right parts. For example, I don't like how this is black. That should be probably gray, so it all matches. We're just using the parts that we have. That's generally how we build things. And then as we go through, we order more parts to do the part substitutions. and make it work. So I built this enclosure over the last couple days. I'm pretty happy with it. In today's video and on my Instagram and on any content involving this, there's been a lot of comments saying that the ladders don't really look that good and that I should try and do something more open concept like the Animal Kingdom, which I mentioned earlier in this video. And I love the Animal Kingdom's monkey exhibit. It is incredible. Like, it's amazing. They just have water around the perimeter and it's like all open concept. You're like, how does that even work? You got like monkeys way up in this tower and they're like right there. It's like, how are they not just like escaping? I don't get it. It's so cool. But I wanted to try and build something different than my existing zoo. My existing zoo had like an open concept for the monkeys. And I think this is cool. I think it's something different. And I've started changing up the mill's work here too, adding way more water, and I came up with a pretty cool idea for some wooden boardwalk walkways. And yeah, there's going to be water in the monkey exhibit. But for now, I'm going to run with my ladder idea because I just finished building that and I think it's pretty cool. It's a neat shape. I think there's some interesting techniques. And I think it's just a little more interesting than an open concept, even though if I went to the zoo, I'd much prefer to see monkeys in an open concept. This is Lego, and I'm just trying to do cool things and treat each exhibit differently. And I think that's sort of different, if that makes sense. Changed up the mill's work, added a bunch more water. It's easier to take away water than it is to add in the future. So I made this all water because all I have to do is just add a couple bricks and it'll get us up to that right height. And then I started adding some detail to the monkey exhibit as well. So I changed that all to blue, and then I laid a bunch of bricks in all the neutral colors. And I created some jungle gym stuff. So there's the cylinders on the antenna pieces. They go up. There's a snot brick. It connects across. I put like a tire swing on there. We got like this flexi piece there. It's like an old pirate ship piece going up to this part, which I tacked in the ground by using one of those modified bricks. And then I put one of like the pins in there, and it sort of holds it in place. It's like the bar. It looks like a lipstick element, I guess. And then I put the tree there with the tower on top. So you got the chimpanzee hanging out with some bananas. Now what's interesting about this is it's all ladders. So I can hang monkeys on the exterior of it, which I think is pretty cool. They can climb sort of everywhere. So rather than it being an open concept, I think this is pretty neat as well. And that's what it looks like with the top put on. Of course, you can't really see in there that well, but you know those details are there. I didn't want to make it overcrowded in there, like just jam it full of pieces, because there's already quite a bit going on the exterior of it. I mean, I could enclose it all with glass so we can actually see in there, or leave it as an open concept, or put mesh nets, but then we'll get the same effect. So I think the ladders is just sort of something different. You know the monkeys are in there. Oh yeah, and I was thinking it would be really cool, because this is all water now. We can actually make a wood plank walkway that's a bridge, or like a boardwalk. It goes all the way along here, so you can view the animals on this side. It connects to here, so you can come in here, you can look at the alligators, and then it'll also connect here, so then you can walk along here and access the Arctic area and take a look at the monkeys from a different perspective as well. After a ton of building, destroying, and repeating, we've made a little bit of a mess there. But I think these windows are pretty cool. We wanted to do some angles, and we were playing around with different ways of doing that, but in the end we decided to go with the hinge bricks on the bottom. So you can see this here can hinge like that, and also hinge here. It's going to provide nice windows and nice visuals for all of our Arctic animals. And the only difference between this panel and this panel and that panel is the fact that these ones on the side, they don't have the plate on the bottom underneath those masonry bricks. You can see there's a plate, whereas these ones here do not have that plate because there's the studs underneath and the hinge. So that one and this one are just going to sit on tiles. I forgot to feature the barn animals. Look at this little display here. I love it. We've got all sorts of different plate color in there. The dark tan, the nougat, the brown. There's some grass elements around the perimeter. We've got this nice little chicken coop with the chickens pecking away out front. And then we've got some llamas out there, pigs having a little mud bath. Got some bunnies over there along with the cow, some hay in the corner. And then there's two little troughs right here full of miscellaneous like edible items, I guess. We got some carrots, apples, some 1x1 round tiles, and then some water as well. Now our plan for this area is to set up these little like gumball machines. That's what I'm going to call them, but they have food in them, and that's what people coming to the zoo can actually feed to the barn animals through the fence. We actually went to the Edmonton Corn Maze not too long ago, and that's what they had set up for the goats. We thought that was pretty cool. We weren't sure if we wanted to make a petting farm, so we got away from that. But we do plan on creating an interactive exhibit on this side of the zoo. It's either going to be horse rides or camel rides. We relocated the camel in the center because we thought it would be pretty cool to put a circular enclosure for the camels and have camel rides. I know it's not the most humane thing, nor is zoos, but this is Lego and we're trying to have fun with it, and we've got so many animals and we want to create a really cool animal display in the city, right? It's going to be one of the main attractions. And because we put the camels in the center, that allowed us to relocate the elephants. Originally we were thinking elephants in the center, but this is not going to give them enough space. So we're actually going to put the elephants right beside the lions. The lions will go in this corner, and the elephants will have a larger enclosure over here with the backdrop. We still might group together giraffes and elephants. Haven't quite decided. This is our only brick-built animal in the zoo, and we do want to replace that with some of the giraffes. I think there was some in the Friends lineup. We'll have to check Bricks and Pieces and see if we can order those or just order some on Bricklink just to replace that giraffe. And also get it a friend and maybe a baby as well. Would be pretty cool. Ostriches will probably be over here. We might be able to fit one more animal over here, I would say, like maybe red fox or red panda. That might be pretty cool. We do want to do tigers, but we can't find the tiger pieces anywhere unless we buy that Lego City set. So maybe we could buy that parted out and just use the animals, but it just seems sort of wasteful just to get a tiger. I think there's quite a few animals in here already, and we don't really want to decrease the size of the enclosures any more than we already have because we've got to fit food vendors and souvenir stands and stuff like that as well. Now I haven't tacked down the monkey exhibit yet. Once I tack it down, we'll give it a better shape. For example, you can see like an indentation right there. I'll make sure it's nicely shaped and tacked down in all four corners, and then it won't move around. But before I do that, I've got to continue adding the water detail because you'll probably notice that I didn't add the 1x2 trans blue tiles. But I want to just shape all of the water before I tile it all off, just because if we make any changes to the water after it's all like detailed with the slopes and all the vegetation around the corners, like if I tile it off first, well then I'll be removing a bunch of tiles in order to add that detail. So we'll do that all at once. And when I do that, I'll go ahead and add more detail to the banks of the water inside the monkey enclosure and also all around. Once again, we want to build that wooden boardwalk, which is going to connect to all the different pathways here, and I think that's going to be super neat. Now we did tack down the viewing windows for the Arctic area, and we actually raised up the center area one more plate. So rather than having one plate on the bottom, it's now two plates, and that allowed us to slide these blue plates underneath. So we're not going to have to, it's not going to be difficult to fill in this awkward space. Also, it's still got one more plate of give there. So we're going to be able to add the tiles underneath, and it's just going to raise it up so that it matches the height of this viewing window, like the center one. And it's going to allow us to run those tiles right underneath the viewing window rather than having these awkward gaps. And then in here, this is all going to be fully tiled off like our entire zoo. All of the walkways will be treated in some way. Eventually, all of this dark bluish gray, well, not all of it, but most of it will be gone, other than, of course, the mountains in the backdrop. I did have to go through here. I ripped apart this entire mountain panel. That's why you'll see there's a brick missing there. It looks like I forgot to put that one back. But I ripped that all apart because it used to have 16 by 16 plates that went right to the edge of that gray base plate. But I wanted to give the seals a little bit more space, and also the penguins a little bit more space for their water. We started adding the water to the plates in the foreground, but not the mountain plates, because you remember this splits right here. So we're going to try and keep those as their own separate modules. So I was able to add the water underlying plate in the foreground there, and we were also able to start building the walls, which will separate the habitats, because of course we don't want the polar bears to be looking at the penguins and the seals, even though they'll still be able to see them, but whatever, it is Lego, so we'll keep that in mind. But I'm gonna build separation walls using the 1x2 by 2 2/3 snot bricks, and we're going to mount the plate like that. And that's gonna allow us to add texture to these walls and create some pretty cool just walls between the enclosures. Originally we had the polar bears in the center, but we actually moved the polar bears over here because this is a lot of space and we wanted to give the polar bears more space than the penguins. Some people have been saying that my walls are our walls are a little bit short. I do plan on adding vegetation to the walls. I'll probably increase the height of those walls wherever we have an exhibit, and also there's going to be more detail that's added into the actual exhibits. For example, we're going to add some rock work back here to give it more of like an Arctic background. The background of the polar bears, for example, is not going to be a reddish brown wall. Rather, we're going to add bricks and slopes and like ice and snow detail to the backdrops of all these Arctic exhibits, so everything will be themed based on what animal is in the exhibit. And then also in the very end, I'm going to go around and add vegetation to the wall, both on top and on the sides of it as well, just so when you look from different points of or POVs in the city, you're actually going to see the vegetation on the side of the wall. And I still need to put an arch in there and figure out what we're going to do there. But once again, I'm not going to do that water type detail until I know that the water is actually going to come out there, because you saw me today moving the water. Well, it could very well be that this water gets moved over 16 studs or gets reduced in size or increased in size or whatever it may be. So I was always going to leave those types of details to the very end. And we're just going to try and work on each individual animal exhibit before we add like all the finalized details throughout the entire zoo. We're actually doing this a little bit differently. We used to like lay out our paths and then start working on the animal enclosures. But this time we're working on the animal enclosures, and the paths and details will come last. Finally, we're using some of the white masonry brick in here too. You can see sort of matching that Arctic theme. We've got some white masonry in there. Still a lot of detail has to go into all of this, but we were able to get the monkey exhibit looking pretty cool today. Also, the barn animals looks really neat. And then the Arctic animals is coming along nicely as well. Thank you so much for coming by. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for some more updates coming out in the near future. Farewell.